latest previews, reviews, and analyses and reactions to the biggest sporting events around the globe, subscribe to our YouTube channel to join the Premium FM Sports Center on Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station. Welcome to another special edition of Premium Sports Center from your preferred station, Premium 89.9 FM. Don't forget, for these and more sporting updates, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Welcome, and today on the show, we'll be looking at the results of matches played in the Premier League over the weekend. There were defeats for Chelsea, Manchester United, and wins for City and Arsenal in the North London derby. While we look ahead to this week's UEFA Champions League action with the biggest tie between Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City. Before we go into this proper, I'm being joined by Ikobong Dianabasi. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
Inamino also joins me as well. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me, Raymond.
All right, quickly, let's start off with Premier League results over the weekend. The lunchtime game saw European champions Chelsea losing 1-0 at home to Premier League champions Manchester City. A lot of concerns about Thomas Tuchel's tactics for that game, especially the lineup he had in midfield. It was the first time this season we got to see Jorginho, Conte and Kovacic play together, while up front we saw again for the first time this season Timo Werner and Romelu Lukaku play up front, but they did little or nothing to show for what I felt was a well-astute lineup, because City were really the better side and truly deserved to win.
Obviously, City deserved to win, most especially after they didn't win Chelsea for the last three encounters of the two teams. And so they actually deserve. The coach Tuchel also took responsibility of his lineup, because we're expecting that you will start off with, although Mason Mount was actually injured, but you had a Pulisic that had returned to training, although he's not match fit. But we also thought that Havertz should start. But he has experimented with Timo Werner and Lukaku up front, and so he probably thought that was going to work out. And he also accepted. Manchester City they took over the midfield, and they knew at the back of their mind you can't go to Stamford Bridge and lose again the fourth time consecutively, and so I think that they deserve to win it. And unfortunately, Chelsea didn't stand up to be counted. They did not get. It was probably the worst performance of Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel's reign so far. So Chelsea didn't deserve to win at all. So credit to Manchester City. And you can find out that from statistics, Chelsea didn't have one single goal on target throughout 90 minutes.
It was a concern before kick-off that Pep Guardiola's side are apparently depleted attacking-wise, because he did not get in a centre forward as expected before the transfer window ended. But it's shown huge faith in Ferran Torres and eventual match winner Gabriel Jesus, who scored against Chelsea to get the job done this season. How far do you think City will be in terms of attacking threats to the rest of the Premier League, when you know you're not going to be seeing the Sergio Aguero's up front anymore? So he's had to tinker with Jesus, Torres, or sometimes playing Raheem Sterling as a false nine, but they still go on to get the results.
Well, before now, I've told you I always like the risk-taking style of Pep Guardiola in management, and then it paid off the last time, because before now he has been playing a blunt attack against either big or small team in the Premier League and in Europe, and then he realized at the dying minute that he needed a Gabriel Jesus, who is a direct striker, to play against Chelsea, and that was not helped by what the selection of Thomas Tuchel. For the first time, I was very surprised at the lineup, because you cannot play against City. The best way to play against Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, any side is set up, is attacking them. And then when you have five central defenders in your starting lineup, then on paper you are telling us and the Chelsea fan and football lovers that you are playing a 3-5 whatever formation. It's not going to work against Chelsea, because right from the word go, Chelsea, Manchester City, they are going to attack you very well, because even from their goalkeeper, he's a goal scorer. He pushes the defense pushes the midfield, and the midfield pushes the attack. Now, if you have Rudiger in your defense, you have Alonso, you have Azpilicueta, you still have Reece James, who is defensively minded. You still have you have N'Golo Kante, who is by trade a defensive midfielder, Kovacic a defensive midfielder, Jorginho a defensive midfielder, and then you play two strikers. There is no synergy in the team that were in the midfield, like an attacking midfielder that will connect the midfield and then the attack and then have a goal passes for them. It was never going to work against Chelsea, because you saw in N'Golo Kante for the first time I've seen him being pulled out in the first 45 minutes. The first 45 minutes without having an injury, because going forward he will still think backward because he's a defensive midfielder. That's his job by trade, and then it didn't work out. I said it the other time that Lukaku is not going to have much success against teams with technical defenders. We saw it against the first time this season against Liverpool, against Van Dijk and Joe Gomez and Joe Matip, who are a little bit more technical and more experienced than him. He doesn't allow you to lean. They didn't allow him to lean on them, and they played him out of the game. And against City, the likes of Laporte won't allow him to do a thing like that. So against technical defenders, he's definitely going to suffer. So I was thinking, in a match like that, he would be wise enough to play Havertz as a direct, to play Timo Werner as the last man there against City defense, and then play Lukaku as a backup, as a number 10, giving him the free role to do whatever he does in the middle of the park, backing up Werner. So I think Pep Guardiola had it right, but then Thomas Tuchel didn't do well on his own part.
The sad result indeed for Chelsea. It was a win that took City straight to second on the table. That's because Liverpool eventually went up after a thrilling 3-3 draw against newly promoted Brentford. One of the results on Saturday that caused a lot of shocks. It was a massive upset in its right. Manchester United lost for a second time in a row at the Old Trafford Stadium, beaten 1-0 by Aston Villa. A lot of question marks now about whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still the man to drive that Manchester United team and get them to win a silverware for the first time since the FA Cup in 2017. And then huge question marks as well, this time although internally, about penalty duties in the team. Bruno Fernandes stepped up to take a penalty when you had a Cristiano Ronaldo on the pitch and all of that. Do you think it's going to affect Manchester United psychologically going forward?
Well, I don't think so. Personally, in my own conviction, I've always thought that Ole is not the right coach for Manchester United. Take it or leave it for anywhere. You know, why I have this conviction is because right from the first time he came into the team and handled the team, he didn't show much of expertise that he knows what he's actually doing with the team, and come to the point where you now have a crop of players that are able to do a lot for you. I know Bruno Fernandes has been there for you. Pogba there, although Pogba has been off and on during this period that's doing his reign as a coach, but Pogba has actually also stepped up his game a few times. And you also have you brought in a Cristiano Ronaldo. I think the game against Aston Villa, Aston Villa has shown capacity this season. You know, you are talking about the English Premier League, where the smaller teams, the mid-table teams, does not look at your first. They want to do exactly what they need to do to get results, especially away from one, especially away. They're always motivated against the big teams. We saw it against Chelsea. The first half of that game ended 0-0, and they almost got a goal in the first half against Chelsea. And so they have actually shown capacity that, look, we are technically very gifted. The likes of Crystal Palace has also done the same thing, you know. And so I was thinking that Manchester United should be able to in the first half they didn't do enough. You know, they lost in the final third. They lost most of the balls in the final third in the first half, because I watched the first half very keenly. They lost most of the ball in the final third, and then there was this individual games that I saw more from Greenwood. I saw two occasions where Greenwood should have passed back to Cristiano Ronaldo, but he decided to shoot from the right flank in the first half, and that didn't go well, you know. And this is teamwork, and so a lot of that was also down to the players on the day, and so that's why Manchester United done. And for the penalty duties, I think that people are already told, selected who is going to take the penalty. So for me, I think that for Cristiano Ronaldo to show that level of humility and allow him, this is a person that was saddled with responsibility. Yes, he is more experienced, he more composed, talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, but already someone was selected at this particular time, and he's not the captain of the team. You know, if the captain of the team had come up, that's what I would have expected the captain of the team to do. probably come over and say, please allow Cristiano Ronaldo to take this. We'll settle this after. Fernandes is not going to be happy about it at the moment, but the result is the important thing. The team is the important thing. So I won't blame Cristiano Ronaldo for it. I won't blame the coach. I won't blame anybody. But obviously, let us leave it the way it is, and I'm sure they're going to learn from it. If I was the coach, I'll go back into the dressing room. I'll rearrange the penalty duties and let us give it to a man that's more experienced.
It was a poor result for Manchester United, losing 1-0 at home to Aston Villa. In other results to tell you about in the Premier League, Everton beat Norwich City by 2-0. West Ham United with 2-1 winners over Leeds away from home. Watford and Newcastle shared the balls. It finished 1-1. Already we told you Brentford held Liverpool by 3-3. The action spilled over to Sunday, where Southampton were beaten by a lone goal courtesy of a strike from Raul Jimenez. It meant Wolves won the second game of the season. Well, the late drama and arguably the biggest game on Sunday came from the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal beating Tottenham Hotspur by 3-1. When the season started, Spurs won their first 3 games on the bounce. But after the international break, the reverse was the case. Arsenal before then had lost their first 3 games, but have now won 3 on the trot. And with that 3-1 victory, they now sit above Spurs on the table. So let me get your perspective first from Arsenal and the drive under Mikel Arteta. Do you think it's just the Gunners being in the right form at a particular time, or do you feel convinced that Arteta has plans that we need to give him time to effect, and maybe we get to see the best of this Arsenal side with him as manager?
Anyway, over time, it is a man who knows his ability and capability more than any other person. It's like a thing of age. I can tell you I am 30. When I'm 39, I feel I'm deceiving you, but I know the truth, you understand. When Mikel Arteta came out the last time to say, come, the Gunners, please, just give me time. I know what I'm doing. Let my team gel. You understand now? As at the time they played Brentford at the beginning of the season, apart from the fact that they played a team coming from the championship, because if you want to look at the last past season, teams who have come from the championship has always beaten teams, because you've only looked at a few of their matches, you analyze their players, you analyze them, you don't really know them because you never played in the same league as them. So they come with that shock element, with that surprise element, and then they take you. And then before you know what is happening, they win you. Now, apart from that, Arsenal had, Arteta was trying to assemble a team that will picture his own philosophy, that will picture his own side of play. You can remember before the day that Brentford game took place, he was still negotiating with other teams to get in players. I can remember it was after 3 days they signed Tomiyasu, so you understand. Now the team has gel. They're beginning to interpret the kind of manager philosophy Mikel Arteta has as a coach, and it was exemplified in his first win, the second, and third in a drought. It's not brown beans to win 3 Premier League games straight. When you are not Manchester City, Chelsea, maybe probably Liverpool. So this Arsenal team is a team, I will borrow a statement from Thomas Tuchel, is a team you would not like to play against, because it is a mix of explosiveness, experience, creativity, talent, and potential. They have everything in the experience. They have Granit Xhaka, and they have Aubameyang. Explosiveness, you see it. Pepe has it, and the rest. The creativity, Emits Moreau and Martin Odegaard and the rest of the guys. And Tomiyasu, you see what he can do. He's already capable of. You've seen White, you've seen Tierney, and the rest of the side. So in all the departments, they have leaders and they have players who are ready to take risk for Arsenal. It will be very hard to beat them in the sense that you can attack. Let's say is a Liverpool, the last season of Brendan Rodgers with Liverpool. They don't worry about the defense. If you score them 5, they will score you 6. If you score 10, they will score 11. But Arsenal, they are not that loose at the back, because they have that rigidity at the back, and they have midfield. They have the kind of midfield that can turn you around, and then when they are done with you, they can actually push you back and then score goals from Pepe and the rest of the guys. That team it will be a team to beat this season.
When Tottenham appointed Nuno Espirito Santo, there were huge expectations based on his pedigree at Wolves that he would definitely come remold Spurs to not just an entertaining side, but a side that can compete. And it looked like the first 3 games, they appeared to be on course. But coming back from the international break, 3 defeats in the league. They only managed to scrap through to qualify for the next phase of the Carabao Cup, winning on penalties against Wolves. What does Nuno Espirito Santo need to do? And a huge question mark about Harry Kane's form and whether or not they should not have let him join City. So who knows? It's off-swing mode right now and could just as much affect Tottenham Hotspur going forward.
Well, I think the problem is not just about the coach. Nuno is a very good coach, and we saw his pedigree with Wolverhampton. And if you want me to say, really, the Tottenham they have quality players, no doubt about that. And we're expecting that once he comes in, he's going to gel in most of these players with his philosophy and all of that. But I also think that a lot has to do with the board, especially Levy, the club's chairman, and you don't keep a player that is unhappy, and that affects the dressing room. That's the truth of the matter. And when they won the very first 3 games, the transfer window was still going on. There were still issues around whether Harry Kane is going to go or not. And take it or leave it, there are people in that team that would actually say, why not allow this young man to go so that we can have freedom? And you want to build your team around it. And he knew that Kane did not return to training immediately after the Euros. After taking his holidays from the Euros, there were issues. And so the coach was trying to look around, resolve those issues, and they're forcing a player that is not happy on the team. And when you do that, it affects the dressing room. As I think that is exactly what is going on with Tottenham right now. And so the coach responsibility right now is to try as much as possible to look for the balanced ground. They played a very good game against Chelsea the first half. You saw it, man-to-man. They did a man-to-man marking of Chelsea, and they took over the midfield, showing that they have the potential and they understand what the coach wants them to do. And that's exactly what used to happen at Wolves when he was at Wolves, But the second half was nothing to write home about. You understand it. You also saw it. There was nothing to write home about because Chelsea was able to find their way around it. But against Arsenal, I didn't actually understand. I watched the first half. The midfield was totally porous. Arsenal took over the midfield. Like you said, Arsenal is the blend of experience, explosion, and creativity. You understand? Yeah. And so you saw Arsenal come up and said, okay, we have won 2 games on the road. So the third one needs to come. And this is the London Derby, And so I think that Tottenham problem is beyond just the players. They have the talent. They have the players. They have quality players. So it behoves on the coach to look at the dressing room. How do we resolve this issue? And I think that the main issue is because of the issue of Harry Kane. You didn't allow. You are leaving an unhappy player. So one way or the other, talk to the board. Assure the young man that if there is still interest from Manchester City by the end of the season, we will let you go. Do you understand? And that will bring back his happiness because I'm not seeing the Harry Kane that we used to know. The Harry Kane that we used to know. In a national match, he eventually was a midfielder. He dropped down to the midfield to try to pick up the balls, and that is not the Harry Kane we know. The Harry Kane we know hovers around the final third of the pitch, looking for those passes, and we know that he knows how to run into channels and all of that to actually score his goals. So I think that they need to resolve the issue around him, which is a key thing in that dressing room. And once he's assured and he's happy, Tottenham will come up. It's still early in the season, just 6 games. And so let's see in the next 1 month what is going to happen.
I have to agree with him in that case. It's not just Harry Kane, not just an ordinary player, a big figure, a big face in the Tottenham dressing room. And when he is not happy, it affects other players because the team literally was built around him being the England captain and then their star man. So they should have allowed him go. City giving you more than 100 million pounds. There are players outside. You can get someone in. The first 2 games he didn't play, they did very well. Song took center stage, Baywick and the other guys did well, but he has come down and his dullness is affecting the team. I think they should have let him go, like you said.
Okay, sad defeat indeed for Tottenham Hotspur. So, by the way, we'll be in action in the UEFA Conference League later on Thursday. Speaking about Europe, there's action in the Champions League and fixtures to tell you about. We'll see Ajax take on Besiktas, Shakhtar up against Inter, AC Milan face Atletico, Dortmund versus Sporting, Porto face Liverpool, Leipzig taking Club Brugge, Real Madrid are at home to Sheriff Timisoara. While the biggest tie of this round is unarguably from the Parc des Princes, where Paris Saint-Germain will take on Manchester City. A quick line before we wrap up. Your predictions on this game. Let me start with you, Ikwabong, City versus Man City. Which way do you think it would go?
City versus Man City. It's a tough one. I don't really know where to go, but I'll give it to Man City. I'll give it to Man City.
City to win. In
They have the pedigree.
On paper, know-how of the coaches who come into play, I give it to Guardiola.
All right, some updates on that fixture. We hear Lionel Messi is back in training and could be in line to feature later this evening. Join us again for more next time on Premium Sports Centre, but that's how far we can go. Thanks, gentlemen, for being a part of the show.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
You know?
Thanks for having us.
All right, from me, Raymond Eita, and the rest of the crew is bye for now.
For the latest previews, reviews, and analyses and reactions to the biggest sporting events around the globe, subscribe to our YouTube channel to join the Premium FM Sports Center on Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station.